We ask that you please remain standing for the national anthem.
Nous vous demandons de bien vouloir demeurer debout pour l'hymne national.
Please be seated.
Veuillez s'il vous plaît reprendre place.
Honorable Kathleen Wynne, Premier of Ontario, Your Highness, the Aga Khan, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the inauguration of the Aga Khan Park. Today's ceremony begins with a recitation from the Holy Quran, followed by translations in English and in French.
L'honorable Kathleen Wynne, Première ministre de l'Ontario, Votre Altesse l'Aga Khan, Excellences, distingués invités, Mesdames et Messieurs. La cérémonie débutera avec la récitation de versets du Saint-Coran, suivie de leur traduction en français et en anglais.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأدخل الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها بإذن ربهم تحيتهم فيها سلام ألم تر كيف ضرب الله مثلا كلمة طيبة كشجرة طيبة أصلها ثابت وفرعها في السماء تؤتي أكلها كل حين بإذن ربها ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس لعلهم يتذكرون صدق الله العلي العظيم.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. And those who believe and do the righteous, will be admitted to gardens beneath which rivers flow, to dwell therein by the command of their Lord. Their greeting therein will be peace. Don't you see how Allah sets forth the parable? A good word is like a good tree, whose root is firmly fixed, and its branches are in the heavens. It brings forth its fruit at all times by the permission of its Lord. So Allah sets forth parables for men in order that they may reflect.
Au nom d'Allah, le tout miséricordieux, le très miséricordieux. Ceux qui auront cru et accompli des bonnes œuvres auront des jardins sous lesquels couleront des ruisseaux. Là, immortels, avec la permission d'Allah, ils seront accueillis par le mot « paix ». N'as-tu pas vu comment Allah propose une parabole? Une bonne parole est pareille à un bel arbre, dont les racines sont fermement enracinées dans la terre et dont les rameaux s'élèvent dans les cieux. Elle porte des fruits dans chaque saison, par la grâce de son Seigneur. Allah parle aux hommes en parabole afin qu'ils réfléchissent.
May we now request the Honorable Kathleen Wynne, Premier of Ontario, to deliver her address.
Nous prions l'honorable Kathleen Wynne, Première ministre de l'Ontario, de faire son allocution.
Thank you very much, and it's an honor to be here. Your Highness, thank you so much. Yali Madad, everyone, bonjour, bonjour, Ani. It is wonderful to be gathered with all of you here on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the New Credit. I'm thrilled to be joined by so many distinguished guests, former Lieutenants Governor and Governors General. It's wonderful to be here with all of you, and I know there are a number of elected officials here, including many members of my team, including Murad Velshi, who is the first Ismaili to be elected to a parliament in all of North America, I believe, in the Western world. So it's an honor to be here with all of you. It's especially an honor to welcome His Highness the Aga Khan, the 49th hereditary Imam of the Shia Ismaili Muslims, to Ontario. Welcome, Your Highness. Je suis honorée d'accueillir en Ontario Son Altesse l'Aga Khan, le 49e imam héréditaire des musulmans chiites ismailiens. I want to thank him, I want to thank you, Your Highness, for inviting me to be here today. And I want to thank everyone for coming to the inaugural opening of the new Aga Khan Park, and to acknowledge the Aga Khan Development Network, the Ismaili Council for Canada, and all of you who have worked so hard to get us to this moment. Thank you, because I know that so many of you in this room have had a role to play. Before I go farther, I want to acknowledge the tragedy that shocked the Ismaili Shia Muslim community this month. I join this community here in Ontario and around the world in mourning those who have been lost to this senseless act of violence that left dozens of Ismaili Shia Muslims dead and more wounded. I know under the leadership of His Highness the Aga Khan, the Ismaili Imamat will continue to work towards peace and reconciliation, and the people of Ontario condemn this attack, and we stand in solidarity with the Muslim Ummah. I've been very much looking forward to this event. The Aga Khan Museum is one of our newest and truest cultural gems in Ontario. In fact, the museum is a one-of-the-kind institution in North America. Not only does it house one of the world's greatest collections of Islamic art and cultural artifacts from His Highness the Aga Khan's own personal collection, it provides a community meeting space and a Jamaat Khana for the Ismaili Imamat in the Greater Toronto area. With innovative programming and strong institutional ties to the Musée du Louvre en Paris, in Paris, and the Museum of Islamic Art in Doha, Qatar, the Aga Khan Museum is a wonderful educational and artistic institution, one that we are very proud to have right here in Ontario, and I would say in Toronto, and I acknowledge the Mayor of Toronto, John Tory, who's here, and who I know shares my enthusiasm for a cultural institution like this that is a reflection of who we are as Torontonians and as Ontarians. So we're very, very proud to have the Aga Khan Museum here. I'm very pleased that our government was able to, through the Ontario Cultural Attractions Fund, provide the Aga Khan Museum with $100,000 in funding for its inaugural season of programming. I'm very proud to be part of a government that has been able to be a partner in this. I had the opportunity to tour the museum in March, and I was just amazed by the space and what it means for Ontario's vibrant Ismaili Shia Muslim community. I'm in awe again today at the beauty of this park and how this expansion will further benefit the community. And it will benefit the Ismaili community, but it goes so much beyond that, and it will benefit all of the communities in the surrounding area and in the city and in the province. I understand that in Doors Open, I will get the numbers wrong, but in the Doors Open weekend, there were 16 or so thousand people already who came through the museum just this past weekend to see it. And so that's, I think, an indication of the interest that people will already have, and as they come, they will want to come back. And those benefits extend beyond this region. I want to thank His Highness the Aga Khan for inviting me here to celebrate this inaugural opening. You have all created something very wonderful here. I understand that the architect Vladimir Djurovic was encouraged by His Highness the Aga Khan to visit traditional gardens around the world. Gardens like at the Tomb of Humayun in New Delhi, India, and the Alhambra Courtyard Gardens in Granada, Spain. That global and historical influence is so apparent today. But the park brings its own unique style and its own atmosphere to this beautiful corner of the city. This is a true 21st century space, one that's steeped in history, but that speaks to our modern vision of a global, inclusive, and peaceful society. One of the things that I most appreciate about the Aga Khan Museum is that it promotes values of cultural diversity, intercultural peace, and tolerance, all so critical to a pluralistic society such as our own. Une des choses que j'apprécie le plus à propos du musée de l'Aga Khan, c'est qu'il promeut des valeurs comme la diversité culturelle, la paix interculturelle, et la tolérance. These are values that we hold dear in Ontario, and values that are shared by His Highness the Aga Khan. To quote from His Highness, "Tolerance, openness, and understanding towards other people's cultures, social structures, values, and faiths are now essential to the very survival of an independent world." Unquote. In Ontario, we believe diversity is one of our greatest strengths, and education and pluralism are key to building a peaceful and prosperous world. That's why I'm very pleased that today also the province of Ontario and the Ismaili Imamat signed a historic agreement of cooperation which reinforces our mutual commitment to these values. In the agreement, we have agreed to collaborate on mutually beneficial education initiatives, including exploring a range of curriculum-linked resources that promote diversity, tolerance, and understanding, and the opportunity for Ontario teachers to be temporarily seconded to Aga Khan academies. Our agreement also includes establishing policy forums to examine the shaping of a pluralistic disposition through education, leveraging culture as an economic driver, and harnessing Toronto's diverse population to put Canada's financial capital at the forefront of global cities. This is work that is so important. It's important to me as Premier, to us as a province, to His Highness the Aga Khan, and I would say it is important globally. This is work that is important for the world. I often talk about Ontario and Toronto and our diverse cities in this province as being a model for the world. If that is the case, and to the extent that it is the case, having this partnership with the Aga Khan and with the Ismaili community is a very important opportunity to explore what that pluralism means and how we can share those values around the world. Our province's diversity is a great source of pride. We regard it as one of our strengths. But that hasn't always been the case, and it's important to remember this too. For most of Canada's history, the reality is that immigration was encouraged mostly because we needed to increase our population in order to grow our economy. Though we began welcoming more people from more countries, diversity was still understood as something to be tolerated or accepted. But over the years, we have seen a profound shift in attitudes in the makeup of our country. Since the 1970s, more than 100,000 Ismaili Shia Muslims have come and have immigrated to Canada, with the majority of these new Canadians settling right here in Ontario. And we've evolved into a truly multicultural society. And in today's Ontario, we embrace diversity. That is a belief that we hold dear. We embrace an ideal of inclusiveness and fairness that's based upon respect and the intrinsic value of every person. And we embrace the idea that different voices are not a necessity to be tolerated, they are to be nurtured. And as our new agreement of cooperation lays out, we embrace the idea that diversity is a powerful agent for driving economic growth. That true growth and success are not just about an increasing population. They're about valuing the contributions and potential of each and every person in the province. And I'm very proud that today Ontario has become a world leader, not just in welcoming newcomers, but in making sure that they can thrive here and build a secure future. These are values that I believe are shared by His Highness the Aga Khan. His efforts to promote peace, economic opportunity, and cultural diversity, both here in Canada and on the world stage, have been officially and widely recognized. Because these values and objectives are so important, we must be very intentional in our protection of them and in our striving to attain them. And that's why I'm honored to be able to continue this work with His Highness the Aga Khan. His Highness has also served as an important emissary for the Ismaili Shia Muslim community in our province. Under his leadership, the Aga Khan Foundation has worked with Canadian aid agencies to improve the quality of life for poor and marginalized communities in Asia and Africa. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to see some of you at the World Partnership Walk, and the walk draws thousands of participants every year, and over the 31 years of its existence has raised over $90 million. And all of that money, 100% of that money, has gone into the projects that it supports. It is a truly remarkable event, but it is just one of the indications of the strength of this network and of this community. And it's a testament to the Foundation's dedication to improving people's lives here and around the world. Another example, the Foundation's International Youth Fellowship Program also provides opportunities for young Canadians to work in the developing world. These are wonderful initiatives, and I am very, very honored to call His Highness the Aga Khan a friend of our province. I share his vision of a society, that's right. I share, and I know we all share, his vision of a society where everyone has a chance to succeed. And our government is working to build an Ontario that provides more opportunity and security for all. It is an understanding that we share with the Ismaili Imamat and His Highness the Aga Khan. As Premier, I look forward to pursuing our new agreement of cooperation with the Aga Khan and the Ismaili Imamat. I look forward to many opportunities to visit this beautiful park, along with members of the community. En tant que Premier ministre, je compte poursuivre notre nouvel accord de coopération avec l'Aga Khan et l'Imamat ismailien. Je compte visiter ce magnifique parc. And I look forward to working with all of you to continue to make sure Ontario is, inshallah, a place where everyone has the opportunity and the security that they need to thrive. Merci, Miguel.
Thank you, Premier Wynne. May we now invite His Highness the Aga Khan to deliver his address.
Merci. Nous invitons Son Altesse l'Aga Khan à maintenant s'adresser à l'auditoire.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The Honorable Kathleen Wynne, Madam Clarkson, Mrs. Weston, Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, Mayor Tory, distinguished guests. Madam Premier, may I thank you for your most warm and thoughtful words on this occasion. The Ismaili community are relatively recent arrivals in Canada, and they have been here really as a result of the sorts of situations that you mentioned, including Karachi, where people of different groups, different faiths, different ethnic backgrounds have lived in societies governed by fear, pain, poverty, insecurity, and inability to predict anything into the future for themselves or for future generations. And what happened in Uganda with Idi Amin, you all know, I don't need to remind you of that. And Canada, province of Ontario, opened their arms. And you said, please come to Canada. And there's a joke, which I may repeat to you, of a Canadian who goes into an Ismaili home and sees a big picture of Idi Amin on the wall. Well, what's that? Why is he there? And the answer from the Ismaili family is, every day we thank him for throwing us into Canada. Many of you will remember the day when we formally opened two stunning buildings on this site, the Aga Khan Museum and the Ismaili Centre. That was just 8 months ago. We promised that we would be back in the spring to dedicate the park that joins these two buildings. Spring would be a time, we thought, when the park's natural beauty could be seen to the fullest advantage. And I have to admit that I spent much of this morning wondering whether it was going to rain or not. Well, spring is here. And here we are, and what a privilege it is to share this occasion with all of you. I spoke last September of the spirit of friendship, which infused this project from its very beginnings. And surely that is the spirit that fills our hearts today. The building process here on Winford Drive began five years ago. And that is not just a rough estimate. We actually launched the process on May the 28th, 2010, 5 years ago, almost to the day. But the complex project that now culminates actually began much earlier, back in 1996. When we first started planning for a new Ismaili Centre in Toronto. At that time, the community was looking at Toronto, it was looking at Vancouver. I was in the uncomfortable position of having to keep an equitable balance between the East and the West. And as a result, the Ismaili community is presided by every term by either a member of the Jamaat from the East or from the West. And I have to warn you, Madam Premier, that the president of my community today is from, guess where? Not here. We began by locating this site, but then our plans expanded as an adjacent site also became available. Happily, with the help of many friends, we were able to obtain the added land and the permission for our plans to be accepted. And here I would like to just thank Madame Bata. It was Madame Bata who made it possible for us to have the additional land we needed. We were able to develop two magnificent portions of the land with the park in between, and that is thanks to you. Thank you. I think of so many who helped us to advance this project, including young Ismailis who told our interviewers of their hopes that the center could be a place of lively social exchange. But not only among Ismailis, it was just, if not more important, that they were able to talk to other Toronto neighbors. I think too of so many community members who helped us to advance our shared dreams. I think of the inspired artists who gave shape to those dreams, and those who then turned those visions into physical reality. And I think of so many others who provided vital assistance, including officials at all levels of government. And again, I want to express my communities and my gratitude to everyone in government who has made this lovely park come into existence. We learned a great deal from this experience. We learned that patience is rewarded. We learned that the unexpected can often become a blessing. We learned once again that civil society is cemented when people of many backgrounds come together in places of peace and joy, of inspiration and contemplation, of interaction and of common purpose. I hope this park will contribute to strengthening Toronto's already vibrant pluralism, showcasing to the world Canada's rich example of pluralism in action. Cette conjonction d'efforts de si nombreux Canadiens en faveur de cette initiative, je la situe dans le contexte de ce partenariat vivant, sur tant de fronts, qui nous lie au gouvernement et au peuple canadien, qu'il s'agisse de réalisations locales un peu partout au Canada, qu'il s'agisse de projets d'envergure nationale conduits en commun, tels que le Centre mondial du pluralisme à Ottawa, ou encore de notre coopération en faveur du développement de l'éducation, de la santé, de la culture dans le monde. Toutes choses qui nous permettent de poser des fondations nouvelles en faveur du progrès humain. Permettez-moi d'exprimer de nouveau ma gratitude à la Première ministre de l'Ontario, Madame Kathleen Wynne, pour sa présence aujourd'hui. En début d'après-midi, la Première ministre et moi-même avons signé l'accord de coopération qui tout à la fois institutionnalise les relations entre l'Ontario et l'Imamat Ismaili et lance de nouvelles initiatives de collaboration. Un exemple, nous voulons faire progresser la connaissance des civilisations de l'islam par l'éducation, mission qui est en parfaite harmonie avec celle du musée Aga Khan. Autre exemple, nous souhaitons au sein du nouveau centre Ismaili susciter des occasions de dialogue sur la société civile, ayant notamment à l'esprit la qualité de vie de nombreuses communautés en Ontario. Ainsi, cette journée est grande, car elle marque l'aboutissement d'un magnifique projet, mais aussi parce qu'elle est l'occasion de nouveaux départs. I've already mentioned one word that expresses the significance of this day, and that is the word completion. But allow me to suggest one other word that also leaps to mind today, and that is the word connection. In the first place, of course, we celebrate a striking new connection between the two buildings we dedicated last year. The Aga Khan Park now connects those buildings in a special way, not just as a passageway, or empty space between two structures, but as a work of art in its own right. The park grows out of the inspiration of its Lebanese architect, Vladimir Djurovic, and I think you will agree that it possesses its own strong artistic identity. That identity completes and connects these two buildings. Too often in recent years, urban architecture, under pressure from rural populations, urbanizing, greater human longevity, and shrinking budgets, has neglected the importance of open spaces in a healthy city landscape. We keep crowding more buildings into dense concentrations while shortchanging the enormous impact that well-designed open spaces, green spaces, can have on the quality of urban life. To restore and create beautiful green spaces has become a prime goal of the Aga Khan Trust for Culture, with some 10 notable achievements in places ranging from Cairo to Zanzibar, from Delhi to Kabul, from Dushanbe in Tajikistan to Bamako in Mali. And more projects are coming, including 2 contemporary Islamic gardens to be built at the University of Alberta and in Burnaby. The Aga Khan Park in Toronto will be an added prime example of the inspired, intelligent development of significant open spaces. The park and its gardens can serve as a symbol of connection in other ways as well. Among them are rich connections across time, linking us to the past. The garden has for many centuries served as a central element in Muslim culture. The Holy Quran itself portrays the garden as a central symbol of a spiritual ideal, a place where human creativity and divine majesty are fused, where the ingenuity of humanity and the beauty of nature are productively connected. Gardens are a place where the ephemeral meets the eternal, and where the eternal meets the hand of man. The tradition of Islamic gardens places an emphasis on human stewardship, our responsibility to nature and to protect the natural world. We see that principle expressed in the disciplined use of geometric form, framing the power and mystery of nature. And of course, the garden of ancient tradition, like the garden here today, is a place where, whatever difficult moments may come our way, we can always find in the flow of refreshing water a reminder of divine blessing. As we walk through this place, we can feel a deep sense of connection with those who walked through similar gardens centuries ago. And by renewing our connection with the past, we can also connect more effectively with one another, and indeed with those who will walk these paths in the future. Finally, let me mention one other point of profound connection that we should ponder, and that is the connection across cultures. Think, for example, of those who designed this complex. On one side, looking at the museum, we see the work of a Japanese master. On the other side, looking at the center, we see the work of an Indian architectural giant. And in between, we recognize the masterpiece of a young landscape artist of Lebanese descent. All of this, of course, is done in the service of rich Islamic traditions expressed in a 21st century idiom. And it is all set in a Canadian context, where the ideals of cultural pluralism are so deeply rooted. The age-old question is a profound one. How can humankind honor what is distinctive about our separate identities, and at the same time see diversity itself as a source of inspiration and blessing? Rather than fearing difference, how can we learn to embrace difference so that we can live together more peacefully and productively? This city and this country have been among the world leaders in providing positive answers to that ancient question. I understand that a local public school, the Thorncliffe Park School, just a few kilometers from this site, has students who trace their origins to almost 50 different countries. That is just one school, but it speaks to the rich diversity of local community life. Sadly, there are too many moments when differing identities lead to worlds of fierce belligerence. At such moments, it becomes even more important that we reaffirm the human capacity to connect across lines of division. One reason I take such joy from our experience here today is that this project sends a profoundly encouraging message about the human capacity to and for cooperative connection. So thank you again for joining with us at this important moment, a time of satisfying completion and of profound connection across cultures, across generations, and across the ages, not only with those who have gone before us, but also with those who will come after. Thank you.
This concludes today's ceremony. We now ask our guests to please rise for the departure of the Honorable Kathleen Wynne, Premier of Ontario, His Highness the Aga Khan, and their party.
Ceci conclut la cérémonie d'inauguration du parc Aga Khan de Toronto. Veuillez s'il vous plaît vous lever pour le départ de l'honorable Kathleen Wynne, Première ministre de l'Ontario, de son Altesse l'Aga Khan et de leur entourage.